Hello everyone and welcome to the Evangelist Nick Garrett channel. This video is for informational purposes and it's a presentation of worldviews. It's not an analysis of either. I suspect some people might want to listen and rebut certain points in it, and that's certainly fine. These are not the formulations of conclusions. It's a presentation of the secular human worldview according to one view and a presentation of the Christian Theistic worldview. In a 2013 lecture called The Supremacy of Christ and Truth in the Postmodern World, Dr. Voddie Baucham generalized humanity's problems from the secular human perspective as being insufficient education, insufficient government, or insufficient medication. These three terms seem to be the focus in the secular human worldview for solving the ills of mankind. This view is supported and propagated as an effective means of dealing with the maladies of mankind by government. Naturally, the United States increasingly adopts this approach. For example, a drug-addicted man who robs a store in order to cop some heroin is insufficiently governed and insufficiently educated. The judge will issue jail time, counseling, and drug court for the crime. The jail time will provide additional government for the individual. More government for this criminal will keep society safer and therefore make humanity better. Obviously, in the last few years, instances of incarceration for addiction are decreasing and things are falling more to the insufficient education and insufficient medication side. He can then go to therapy and talk about how his upbringing affected his later choices. Conceivably, this solution will rehabilitate the individual, although he may require additional programs to help him integrate back into society. Therefore, according to the secular human worldview, the world is safer and the incarcerated individual will be rehabilitated. Recidivism rates for both addiction and crime should indicate that this system of thinking is not very effective according to the Christian theistic worldview, yet it is still practiced. Church is rarely viewed as a viable option for assisting one with problems such as these, but government is always the option, especially once criminal and drug-related behavior lead to violation of law. When government programs fail to remedy an individual's behavior, it responds with more money for programs or new programs. In another example, a stay-at-home mom who struggles to manage life taking care of 3 children and her home while maintaining her marriage and her overall self-care is crippled with depression. She is clearly insufficiently educated and through talk therapy may be able to learn that poor communication with her husband and feelings of inadequacy give her the self-awareness to address her problems. Talk therapy puts her on the way to feeling better. She's also trying the tools of Theosophism, the catch-all religious canopy that incorporates different spiritual practices from all the world religions and systems. Her therapist suggested some combinations of meditation, chant, and prayers from various religious traditions to solve her problem. Finally, if her symptoms were sufficiently medicated, the chemical imbalance would be addressed and she would be happy. A pill or combination of pills will help to solve her problem in conjunction with everything else. Perhaps additional government in the form of a program or talk group for stay-at-home moms funded by tax dollars or federal grants that allows them to fellowship or share their struggles for an hour each week could also be in order. In America, this approach to treatment for mental health disorders is the norm. Secular humanism is the way of thinking that would form such an approach. Secular humanism teaches that man evolved from nothingness in the ooze that somehow ended up as a cosmic soup containing all the creative elements. When lightning struck the ooze, organic life was created and evolved into man over time. Not intelligently, of course, but essentially, in this worldview, man is a cosmic accident. According to secular humanism, there is no God and no questions of afterlife. Man can govern himself and choose what is moral. A human's primary purpose is to consume and enjoy because only the fittest survive. Therefore, it is right for the stronger to take what they want from the weaker before they themselves end up a victim of natural selection. A humanist will often view this argument as an oversimplification. Christian Theism teaches that sin is humanity's problem. Man is cursed with sin, which separates humans from a living God that created out of an overabundance of his love. When man sins, it throws him out of balance with the natural order over which God gave him dominion. He becomes disintegrated. Still, because man is the crowning achievement of God's creative glory, he provides a chance at redemption through a process that forgives sin. Man was made for God's pleasure and for his purposes, including fellowship with him. Each person does have value as a creation of God, made with love to be with him. Mankind's collapse into sin is told in the account of the first book of the Christian Bible, Adam, Eve, the fruit of the tree, and the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The temptation in the garden represents humanity's fall and symbolizes how sin entered the world. It was essential to document this key event in human history because something must account for the chronic decay, progressive immorality, and certain death that meets each person. However, one can live in balance with purpose and joy and union with God. Jesus offers forgiveness with his atoning death and resurrection. This event was the course correction for man's sin against God. If one follows Jesus, they gain the ability to overcome the basest sort of man's existence. Jesus fulfilled the law, allowing one who follows him to aim for higher moral self. This is accomplished through sanctification, in part instantly and in part over a lifetime. As a result, society's lowest moral common denominators are raised. There is a shared objective moral truth. Only Christian Theism provides such remedies to spiritual maladies or makes such truth claims about its ability to do so. Secular humanism and Christian theism both try to answer for the ills of mankind. However, they could not be more starkly different. According to secular humanism, there is hypothetically no reason to really aim for a good life beyond man's own self-determination, to the extent an individual has any, because everyone will die anyway. One must find peace by whatever means he or she can, because there is no afterlife. One's time is short, and there is no accountability beyond what the state has determined. An individual's self-determination and self-analysis of morals is all that matters. Christian theism offers salvation from sin, objective moral reality, forgiveness from God, and self-forgiveness. These are progressively positive factors that allow an individual to rise from wrongs and aim for rights. One can be renewed when made right with God. Christian theism also tells the individual there are happiness, joy, peace, and stability, both here on earth and in the afterlife, that one does not have to work for, but is a gift and was part of the original design. One way that Christian theism works is through the family unit. The family unit is the vessel through which Christ sanctifies marriage, children, daily life together, ups and downs, struggles and joy and blessings. Man attains sanctification and growth through self-awareness that first comes from the grace of God toward a violator of his moral code, and directions come progressively by the gifting of his Holy Spirit. From the religious aspect, one learns what terms like unconditional love, grace, forgiveness, and patience mean actually applied in daily life. Yet, it is through this bind of marriage, deep friendship, and later children that one learns truly what this unconditional love and grace look like. External factors motivated by secular humanism have caused a decline in the church, yet that has not caused as much damage to the church as has been done from the lack of understanding from inside. Pastors and believers alike have no idea that there are these competing worldviews bumping against each other. There's an unawareness that the objective moral truth accepted by society in the Christian theistic worldview has completely collapsed. It's not about to collapse, it has collapsed. When one accepts that, the questions can change. It can become about what do we do next instead of what can we do to maintain the little bit of ground we have left. Finally, nobody seems to account for the conflict inherent in our liberty in the West and Christian liberty. Christian liberty still seems to view God as sovereign, whereas the humanist liberty that comes with being an American has a totally different view at its core. Descartes, for example, believed that everybody is born with a blank slate. Well, that's contrary to Christian Theism, which believes that sin is the human malady that everybody's born with. There has been no attempt in the church in the West to reconcile these two contradictions. Up to 80% of church growth activity in America comes from transfers, families switching churches very frequently. Moreover, 89% of 1,000 families polled when asked why church exists said, "To take care of my family and my spiritual needs." Perhaps therein lies the reason why only 17.7% of professing Christians go to church. The church and the world are intertwined and no one seems to know it. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.